In this module, we shall discuss what is OMNET++, how do we define it, and how to get a free copy when we want to use it subsequently, how to compile and install it, and as starters, how to run it. When we want to define OMNET++ as the simulation tool of choice, let's look at its definition. It is objective modular network testbed in C++. It comprises simulation kernel and component-based simulation libraries. It is important to mention here that OMNET++ is widely assumed to be a simulator, whereas it is not a simulator, it's a framework. It is designed to create and simulate the networks which are done by the individuals and the academic community worldwide. The simulation kernel that performs the simulations is based on discrete event simulator. Here you can see that there is a queue of events. When this queue of events fills up, the queue is processed on first in, first out basis. The arrival in the queue depends upon the time at which an event is to be simulated. The simulation kernel stops whenever either of the conditions is true. For example, when there are no more events in the queue, when the termination condition is reached, or when the user stops the simulation. To get a free copy of OMNET++, you need to go to the official website of www.omnetpp.org. I've downloaded release 4.6. Maybe by the time you visit the website, the release might have been upgraded. In order to use it on Windows, you need to download and install the zipped version of it, which is shown to you. This zipped folder contains the C++ compiler, the command line environment, and the other source code. When you download it, you need to compile and install it. Compiling and installing on Windows is a self-contained process. All you need to do is double-click or right-click and unzip it. Then start compilation process by looking for a file called mingwenvironment.cmd. This particular command is actually part of the minimum GNU environment for Windows, which offers the compiler to run basic sets of services, including bash and make. When you run this command, a terminal is going to appear, and you follow the instructions to run the configure and the make commands. This will result into building of the OMNET++ IDE along with its libraries. The build process generates both debug and release binaries. The debug and release binaries are both available to you in OMNET++ IDE. The debug is actually useful in identifying the errors and the bugs in your system, the program which you simulate. The release is actually, once you are satisfied with the debug version, then the release is used to package the simulation that you subsequently want to use. It is important here to go a little more into the detail of debug and release. The debug mode is actually the compilation mode, which does not optimize the binary which it produces. It actually establishes a relationship between the source code, which is coded by the user, and the instructions which are generated. The relationship between them is quite complex, but the advantage of this complexity is that it allows the breakpoints to be set accurately so that the generated binary code is the representation of the true code that the user has provided. It also allows the programmer to step through the code on a line-by-line basis. And in short, we can say that the debug is the actually symbolic debug information of the compiled code. As far as the release mode is concerned, it generates the binary that is optimized. It means that the optimization is done as a trade-off between visibility and speed. The release mode is actually generated without any debug information. So a lot of code which was necessary in debug mode is irrelevant here. And hence, the resulting code becomes faster. But the flip side is that the resulting code, the executable that we get, might not exactly be translatable or mappable to the source code that we provided to the compiler. When we want to look at OMNET++ IDE for the first time, you need to again go to the command line, the main W environment, and you need to run the command OMNET++. An IDE would appear to you. The details of it would follow suit. The first thing that you need to do when you enter into the IDE is to select the most appropriate workspace. The default workspace is the environment in which the most relevant group of projects would be placed. For example, if you are working in peer-to-peer applications, then a workplace called P2P should be the most appropriate. For the sake of discussion, I've mentioned my own workplace as Saturday_Ali. It means I started working on it on a Saturday. So all the projects associated with me on that particular day can be grouped together in this workspace.